Where do the Cowboys and Dak stand as we speak?
Well, Greeny, as Todd Archer, the fine reporter from ESPN in Dallas, reported yesterday, there are no scheduled talks before Wednesday's 4 p.m. Eastern deadline. That doesn't mean there can't be a last-minute push from each side, but there doesn't appear to be any sense of urgency to do that right now. And it seems like each side is comfortable with its position, which is hard to imagine in Dallas's case. If you're the Dallas Cowboys, you're looking at having Dak Prescott play this year on the franchise tag for $31.4 million. Can't sign him if you can't get a long-term deal done by the 4 o'clock Eastern deadline on Wednesday to a long-term deal during the season, which means next season, to keep Dak Prescott, to ensure keeping him, you'd have to franchise him again for $38 million at a time where the cap is going to be flat at best and very well may go down, which could cripple the Cowboys' salary cap. So it puts the Cowboys in a tough, challenging predicament moving forward with their quarterback in the franchise year. Only 2 other quarterbacks have played on the franchise tag. Drew Brees in San Diego, he left. Kirk Cousins in Washington, he left. Dak Prescott now heading into that franchise year if they can't get that long-term deal done. A lot of questions, not much progress. And so the conversation that we've had for over a year here now is going to continue to go on. And just think what happens. What are we going to talk about this season if these two sides can't get a deal done by the deadline at 4 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday? And we can't talk about this topic until next January or February.
We'll find a way. But let me bring Louis Riddick into the conversation here, because here's what I was thinking of as Schefter was saying that. And that is, yes, Todd Archer reporting they haven't spoken and there are no plans to speak. But that can change, right? I mean, it's literally as simple as picking up a phone. So, Louis, in your experience, if the Cowboys know where Dak basically is and they know what he wants, can a deal be done this quickly? Could they just pick up the phone and get a deal done in 32 hours if they haven't been speaking?
Yeah, I think, it's common knowledge that they have made an offer and Dak knows what that offer is. Could Dallas move off of their offer and raise it to where Dak would feel comfortable? I'm sure they could, although I don't see that as being very likely. And I don't really see Dak coming down to where Dallas feels as though they would feel comfortable as far as signing into a contract that they think represents fair market value. So I really think what's going to wind up happening is the deadline is going to pass. Dak's going to play on the franchise tag next year. And as Adam alluded to, and this is something that general managers are very worried about, and that, being the 2021 season being a situation where the cap could be flat to down, and with Dak's huge contract, franchise number next year, totaling over a 2-year time frame, just under $70 million. Dak is sitting pretty right now heading into the next year. He could maximize a lot of cash, and that's exactly what he's trying to do. But he could maximize a lot of cash to himself and have a lot of cash coming his way over the next 2 years if he just sits pat and doesn't do anything. Sign that franchise tag like he did, play this year out, and then really put the ball back in Dallas's court next year in a situation, from a cap perspective that is not advantageous for them. Dak is in a good position right now. Obviously, the long-term security of a big-time deal is not something that is working in his favor and something that he has in his back pocket right now. But he's taking the Kirk Cousins approach right now, or so it seems. And I don't think anyone can argue with the fact that when you're talking about maximizing cash to the player, nobody's done it better than Kirk Cousins.
That's right.
And Dak is sitting right now going, that doesn't sound like a bad strategy.
Cousins has made the most money of any player in the NFL the last 4 years. Dan Orlovsky, a little later this hour, you're going to do a tape looking at Dak the player. But let me ask you this, having been a quarterback in the league for a long time and been around some very big-time quarterbacks, does it, if he is playing on the franchise tag, does it in any way compromise his ability to be the leader on the team that a quarterback needs to be?
No, not at all, Greeny. I mean, everyone in that locker room knows who's the face of that franchise. And everything that you've heard about Dak Prescott as far as off the field, people rave about his leadership. People rave about his maturity and how focused he is when it comes to his job. And so a lot of guys in the NFL know that contracts are very much so about business, and sometimes it happens quickly and sometimes it takes a little bit of time. But once you show up, it's all about what you do on the field. It is all about what you do on Sundays. And so he will continue to be the leader of that organization and the face of that locker room as long as he's the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. So it's not his ability to play or to lead or to galvanize. I said this in the first hour. Maybe the Cowboys are just waiting for Dak to prove it to them. Could that be the case? I know there's a lot of variables here, but Schefter has laid out over the last year all the reasons why the Cowboys should have paid Dak Prescott by now. And then again, laying it out 5 minutes ago, how important it is with the cap per next year and the franchise tag. Yet it still hasn't happened. I mean, maybe the Cowboys just don't want to. I mean, there is that reality that maybe they just don't want to pay him a certain amount of money over a certain amount of years because they see him as X when a lot of people see him as something else. And so I get it. I get where a lot of people want Dak Prescott to be the greatest quarterback in the NFL. Right now, he hasn't been. And until he proves that to the Cowboys, they're not going to give in.
We'll do that tape a little bit later, and you'll be able to demonstrate a little of what you're talking about. Marcus, I saw you shaking your head.
Yeah, it's just Dan has a great point. I'm not disputing that at all. The problem Dallas has is that they came out and said this was their franchise quarterback, and he was the future of the franchise. And we all have talked about the pause that they have because of the actual play of Dak Prescott, which is the issue. Because if he's not the guy, you still going to pay him $31 million. You signed Andy Dalton. You could buy time until you find another quarterback. There are so many things that are playing out in this situation. We keep talking about 4- and 5-year deals. I keep going back. You don't have contract disputes this long with your franchise quarterback. So to Dan's point, I think we all have to get to there. Because everybody talked about, well, this is about the Cowboys wanting to be in the media, and they want us to talk about it, and they'll eventually sign Dak Prescott. Who the hell are they talking to? Because they have Dak Prescott availability every day to get a contract done. To lose point, they've been down this road already. So the only thing that we can conclude is obviously they're okay with paying him $31 million this year, but they are not okay with committing to him long term.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.